Number 15.
So, have you ever settled down in a small canoe, cracked a beer, and cast a line into the peaceful lake hoping to catch dinner?
Only to come up with no hits, or something cliche, like an old boot.
Or a sea monster.
What?
Callio did it.
Well, that segue works as good as any into kicking off our list. Our 15th fight is... Saru fishing.
This fight had to make the list somewhere, even if it's not the most...
Creative.
Story-driven?
Well written.
Yeah, this fight is definitely lacking in more spots than most. But Saru fishing has one thing going for it perhaps no other fight on this list does. It's memorable as hell.
It's also just a lot of fun. I mean, there are a few fights in the RP where our characters are able to, battle it out without feeling like it's a life or death situation.
This one also has great moments from characters not even in the fight.
I will say it 1,000 times. Kotanai and Anne getting high on catnip while Kaleo and Leo are being carried away by a giant fish just outside their window is one of my favorite comedy moments in the entire series thus far.
Not to mention you get some fun relationship building between Velnai and Leto, even if it does kind of get interrupted by circumstances. And of course there's also Relton, who is,
Sleeping, probably.
Point is, Saru fishing has golden moments from characters that are not even in the scene. But let's get to the actual fight itself.
So, the fight starts in Chapter 3 on page 5, with everyone's favorite cabin boy trying his hand out at a spot of fishing. Of course, then Leo comes along and decides to tease him a bit, saying like, hey, if you want to impress ladies, you should pick up a sword, not a fishing rod.
To Leo's dismay, though, Callio does get all the ladies' attention when he catches something too big and is literally pulled right off the deck of the ship and into the sea below.
While it's a running gag that our non-normal pirates can't swim, this is the first time,
And so far the only,
that we see this weakness come into effect. Once Leo realizes the plucky cabin boy isn't resurfacing for air, he dives in to rescue him.
Once he has the boy, the crew scramble to throw life preservers and lines down into the waters below. Eric jumps down to help, and even Zack fires a harpoon, or at least tries to, into whatever is lurking down beneath the depths.
However, Callio, in a half-delirious state, won't let go of the fishing rod, and the beast on the other end isn't giving up either. Up from the water, a 15-meter-long sea serpent emerges with Callio's hook in its mouth.
With the Saru now looming over them, it dives straight down, mouth open wide in an attempt to swallow all three of them. But thanks to Leo's quick thinking, he lets go of the preserver and kicks Eric away, forcing the beast to miss. It dives back under the waves, letting everything go silent.
Oh, but things do not stay quiet for long. Soon enough, the rest of the crew are able to hear Leo screaming at the top of his lungs for Callio to let go of the fish. There might have been a bit of crying in there too.
Moments later, the ferocious fish emerges, with both Captain and Cabin Boy in tow. Hanging onto the beast for dear life thanks to Zack's cleverly fired harpoon, they manage to keep themselves from winding up as immediate fish food.
It's worth noting, one of the things we look for in group fights is how well people play off each other's posts. So Leo using Zack's early shot as the sole foothold is a great example of collaborative writing.
As Leo and Callio play rodeo with the Saru, the rest of the crew decide to rely on a tried and true strategy, spraying and praying. Gerhardt with a trench gun, Zachariah with the aptly named Saru rifle, and Sonia with a heaping dose of fire magic.
Actually, that was known as an elephant gun originally, but I renamed it to Saru Rifle to be more world appropriate. Also, Zack never sprays and prays.
Either way, the Saru took multiple heavy hits and threw Kaleo off, which is when the cabin boy casts some magic and poof, a feather mattress appears to break his fall. At this point, with only Leo in peril, the rest of the crew debate if they should just cut their losses and leave their new captain behind.
Which, sadly, they do not.
Here, we see another awesome team play of Callio magicking up a sword and tossing it to the nearly drowned captain. Leo catches it and actually has a hero moment of somehow running up the rubbery flesh and stabbing the Saru right between his eyes, right through the head.
The Saru flops down on the deck, Leo makes the first of what will be a long list of bad puns, and Saru steak is on the menu for the next couple chapters.
Honestly, I think the best part of this fight is how it shows off the cast chemistry, what with all the combo plays.
It also has some fun callbacks, as Leo and Callio are bickering over whether or not fishing is cool now, while trying not to get bucked off.
Even with all these positives, this fight still has little story impact. Hell, it wasn't even in the initial chapter outline when I first built Chapter 3. And there are a few continuity errors where our peers missed each other's callouts.
That being said, the fact that this fight was not even remotely planned sells what made it such a fun experience in the first place. And honestly, it was an absolute joy getting the chance to reread it again after so long.
This is also one of the few fights that is not against a human-sized foe, and that alone helps it stand out.
Exactly. Despite the flaws we mentioned, I think we can all agree that in the end, there's nothing fishy about this fight being on the list.